right, how we doing? Great bounce back day right here. We had a really nice, challenging practice yesterday in pads. Really starting to push the amount of reps that we go consecutively with our groups. So great challenge for them to respond today, which I think they did from a focus standpoint. But I'm still just looking for that consistency of that high energy, that high effort. They were definitely going today, but I know that we can continue to push that standard and push that bar of stacking up great days, which we know we're going to need going into the season when you get that opportunity to really work on Wednesday, Thursday, to be able to stack 2 great days of work and have that mentality. Talked about Xavier a little bit yesterday. So the MRI revealed no fractures in the foot, which is a fantastic, news for us really to just find that out. And so we're day to day with him. I would not expect him to play in this preseason game, just on the side of caution. It wasn't any play in particular. It was just kind of heating up on him. And so at that point, we just, try to get ahead of it. And I think we did a good job of our training staff, identifying that and making sure we took the necessary precautions to make sure he's out there. Questions?
What happened with Terrace on that?
Yeah, big collision, crossing routes, ran into Deshaun Jameson, got the wind knocked out of him. They're going to check him out a little bit more just to make sure that he's okay.
Maybe on the, your first and second round picks, been in and out injuries. And, is that concerning to you at all with developing, or is it just kind of one of these things you want to develop these guys as, long term?
Yeah, like we said before, it's kind of like that next man up mentality. And while I would love for them to be out there having those reps, it's so valuable for all the guys to be able to get those reps so we can really gather information. Even as we go into these preseason games, I would love for X to be out there at some point just to play NFL football. But we have a good group of receivers that are fighting for these spots on our roster. So I love that room, just getting those opportunities, being able to see different guys rotate in there with the ones and all that. So again, for me, I'm always kind of, the next man up, opportunity type of mentality.
Dave, outside of Xavier not playing this likely on Thursday night, anybody else injury-wise or vets that you don't expect to play potentially on Thursday?
We're gonna make sure we get through. We got through today. Want to make sure I get through a hard practice tomorrow so we can really evaluate who's going to be available, and then we're gonna make our decisions really tomorrow night on what the depth chart looks like and the play time and all that looks like for the game.
Moving away from playing as much in the preseason, is there a chance that you might just not have Bryce playing any of these games?
There could be. I keep going back and forth with that because there's some value to just allowing him to play with Austin. And then there's also the flip side of it, which we know. We're counting on those guys, and that's another approach too. And different teams have different philosophies for how they do that. So that's something that I've been kind of wrestling with too, Joe.
Dave, will the practice be padded tomorrow?
Yes.
And it looked like the D-line was running gassers. Is that part of the competition situation or just...
Yeah, we're looking for a specific type of workload for a day. And when we shorten our practice, we have those limited few reps. We're asking them to go for it in those reps that they're out there so they can feel it, they can chase the ball and do those things. And guys know, particularly some of the veteran guys, they know okay, that didn't feel like I got enough. Maybe I need a few more just to make sure my conditioning is in the right spot. And our athletic training staff is working really closely with them to monitor that load to make sure we're trying to hit it right on the head in terms of what we're challenging them to do.
Hey, Coach, looking ahead to Thursday, most Panthers fans have not seen the new kickoff rules.
Yeah.
How do you feel about them? And second part is, do you think Robinson, he had 2 good returns Saturday and 1 today, could he play any role in it?
I'm sure he could. I think the new rules, it's going to be really exciting and interesting to see, what happens with just the way it's played. Fortunately, we have the Hall of Fame game to kind of look at, and I'm sure every team, those are the opportunities we have to evaluate. So, we're taking a lot of time looking at that and how our scheme fits in. So I'm very excited to see, and to watch some of the potential of guys who can make those open field decisions where it might get a little messier than your traditional setup blocks and all that stuff. So it's gonna be an exciting part of our game.
Dave, Xavier Woods had a nice play today. What have you seen from him, and how does he help you on the back end of your regards?
Consistency is what I've seen from X. He's been back there communicating. They're all talking together. You have Xavier, you got Jordan Fuller, you got Nick Scott, guys who have been in the system. So I've really felt great, since we started with the communication on the back half. And then just to see him moving around, looking explosive, taking his shots on plays that he can. He's really looked fantastic.
You and Dan spent a lot of time during the offseason talking about upgrading the wide receiver corps.
Yeah.
Heading the first preseason game, how much of an upgrade have you seen right now?
Yeah, it looks great. So, I think it's we start with the guys that were already here. You talk about Adam, talk about Jonathan Mingo, Amir Smith-Marset. These are the guys that are showing us like just a real grasp of what we're doing, and then they're making plays. So it's really interesting in that room. I think it's a really solid room competition-wise.
Dave, Lamar Jackson's a guy that's getting a decent amount of reps. What have you seen from him? He obviously has length.
Yeah, he's made some plays, and I think for Lamar, again, another guy that at this point, he's put enough stuff on film where we really want to see him make that jump, take it to the games, make those plays and play with confidence. That's what we're looking for him. But I've been really excited to see his physical play, some late wins. I love the effort. The way he's finishing on the ball late into the down has been some really cool things we've seen from him.
Dave, building off of David's question,
yeah,
where does Amir Smith-Marset kind of fit into the wide receiver room as of right now?
Well, I don't want to share all of our depth chart and all that, but he certainly has an advantage because he's a great returner. You saw him take a punt to the house last year for a touchdown, so we know that potential is there. So all those things give guys edges. How much can you do for this team? And he's showing us. He's showing us he can make plays as a receiver. We know what we can do as a returner, so he's giving himself a great shot.
Dave, you talked a lot about Bryce mastering this offense.
Yeah.
What does that look like in your eyes? And I guess, how do you determine that?
Really, it's just functioning, right? So it's the pre-snap mechanics of getting us up to the line, getting us to the right plays in the run game, in the pass game. It's about throwing it to that first open guy within the time that we want. And then when the pocket breaks apart, extending and making those extra plays, And so he's showing all those things, but I still think just in terms of getting our group polished, we're not there yet. We still have strides to make as an offense as a whole. I want for all of our groups, particularly the first group, to be able to function so it just looks like a really fine-tuned machine, and we're not quite there right now in that regard. But I love the understanding that we have right now with our concepts. I love the execution part of it. I just think that there's another step in terms of getting up there quickly, being able to use our tools.
When you look at the veteran guys, Moten and Corbett were out here in bucket hats today. When a guy like that's getting a day off, what are you looking for out of them during practice?
Yeah, communication in between. As we rotate our groups, as that group comes off, I'm just looking for them to connect with the guys, making sure that, Austin for sure is having those little dialogues with Bryce throughout, the different things that happen from a protection standpoint in the run game. But just seeing them clued in, seeing them investing in our team, so that we're building that camaraderie and really that togetherness that we're looking for from a locker room standpoint.
How are you feeling about it?
Miles said the other day that he thought this felt like a player-led team. How important is it for you to have a player-led team?
Yeah.
How do you balance that with this also being your first year?
Absolutely. So I got to set the foundation, the coaching staff as well. We'll lay the standards out there and we'll say this is what we're looking for. We don't get to play, and that's a good thing. And these guys are the ones that have to be out there talking to each other as the drives start to pile up. They're the ones that got to bring each other together. And I can help to try to refocus them, but it really comes from them being able to execute in all situations on game day. It's so important that they take that ownership. And I'm trying to tee them up, try to point to those opportunities where we can go more here. So that they're driving that part, so that the standard is like, guys, this is how we practice. This is how we play, and they can hold each other accountable to that.
You're so positive and upbeat. Has there been a moment during this training camp process when you've gotten upset?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. For me, where does that come from? Is if I'm not getting the effort, or if we have really low regard for the ball. We're loose with the ball on offense, or defensively we're just kind of waving off on tackles and we're not punching at it. Those are really the two things that get me, that really kind of get me going. And I think it's important for the guys to see, like, my mindset is the possibility is how good we can become. But when we have those moments, it's great for them to see, like, I'm not a happy-go-lucky guy just sitting back to go, hey, let's just see what happens today. That's not the mentality. I have a vision and a plan for where I see we can go, and when we're short of that standard, it bothers me because I know what it can be. I know what it can look like. and I'll continue to push them, but I want them to know that I care and I'm passionate about what we're doing out here.
What does upset Dave look like?
I yell a little bit. I had a couple moments yesterday. I bounced back pretty quickly, and I have my reminders, of where we're at in terms of this training camp, and I know how much we're asking of them at this point. This information really starts to pile up on them. Really, for the last 5 or 6 days, the plays start to pile up, and they start to kind of mix in with each other. So I have to have a lot of grace for them, grace for myself too, as we're building this team, as we're looking to get the practice to feel the way it should feel, and then of course our X's and O's to get it to the way we want it to be.
To Ray out, do you guys plan to bring in maybe more outside linebackers? Or
yeah, we would love to. We would love to continue to look out there to see what's out there and keep challenging our roster if we can.
In terms of depth, what are you seeing from the offensive line so far through the first 7-10 days of camp?
Seeing some fantastic guys step up and get opportunities. Badara Traore getting some great opportunities at tackle. Great that he gets to go against a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, to really refine his skills. Cade Mays, taking some snaps at center. He's looked great. Guys like Chandler Zavala, just getting in there, especially we were resting Damian for a couple of days, and for Chandler to get in there and to show what he can do. Is a powerful guy with a lot of athleticism, showing us that part of it, and really just excited to see, because again, those conversations, and when we start to get closer and closer to the end of the preseason, those are going to be really important decisions for us to make, and just seeing those guys really take advantage of their opportunities when they come up.
A few years ago, Deontay Johnson had a pretty good 100 catch season, and then kind of numbers trailed off a little bit. I know they had some quarterback situation up there, but it seems like him and Bryce have developed a pretty good chemistry. I mean, can he be that 100 catch guy for you guys? And do you want that marquee wide receiver, or would you rather spread it around?
Yeah, I don't really know about numbers, but I know you have to have a starting point. He's a great one. He's a great place to start with our pass game. Let's formation things to start to try to make. If you make a focal point, it opens everything else up. If they know that you're going to a certain player, defenses start to make their calls accordingly. And then that allows everybody else to kind of get space and do that, But what I know is you can't chase trying to get the ball to everyone, because then all of a sudden it just waters down what you're doing. You got to have a focal point in the run game so that you can throw your play actions. You got to have a focal point in the drop back pass game so that the rest of the things open up off of it. So he's doing a fantastic job. I love seeing the chemistry that he and Bryce are formulating. And again, he's still got a ways to go in terms of grasping what we're doing here, but he's doing a great job of just applying himself to it, working his tail off, making himself available, and really just taking those in-between windows to talk to Bryce, to make sure they're on the same page for stuff. So some great challenges have come up, and I've seen them just connect, and that's what we're looking for.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you all.